Hey guys, welcome. Hopefully this is it. Hopefully we have sync video audio issues sorted. I'm recording this a different way and I'm just going to cross my fingers that it works. Right. So I keep getting questions about this. I have made videos about it before, but I'm going to make this video super simple and super clear because I've got to demonstrate to people how key these basic skills are. Far too often, coaches and commenters and singers out there focus way too much on the result. They're focusing on the sound. Oh, it sounds too light. Oh, it sounds too strained. Or it sounds too this. It sounds too that. It sounds this. Yeah. The key difference between people that really know what they're going on about and people that are struggling in the sea of averageness in terms of understanding this stuff is people that know what they're talking about are focusing on how it feels. Yeah, they're focusing on what you're doing rather than what you sound like, because they understand the sound is basically a result of what you're doing. Yeah, so to learn connection properly, and that's what this video is going to focus on, I'm going to encourage you to just drop being concerned about how nice you sound, how pretty you sound, and just focus on what you're doing and see what happens. So the basic question is, how do I connect into head voice? How do I connect? How do I bridge? How do I do this? And my response over messages was basically, there's only really two things you need to do, is just keep the compression even and don't change the basic shape or the vowel that you're singing. Don't let that larynx creep up and let the vowel warp, basically. Yeah? If you can get those two things done, you've got a much better chance of connecting. So let me demonstrate. Basically, when we start with this on a ma, if we've got a ma 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 ma, we've got a break at the top. That's one thing that can happen. The opposite that can happen is ma 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 is that basically. So there's two things. One, a loss of compression as you go through the bridge, and two, an increase of compression, an increase of squeeze or a decrease of squeeze. Notice none of these problems are anything to do with the pitch. The pitch is usually working correctly. People worry about being in tune so much. The pitch usually works. They find a way to get there, basically. The problems usually, they've not paid attention enough to learning compression skills, to learning closure skills, so they're unable to keep it consistent through the range. So they break or they over squeeze and push. So let's cover that first. Basically, if we worry about what I'm doing, the attack on each note, ma, 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 the horizontal, the closure, this part of the sound, yeah? You should be feeling ma, 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 mum on the horizontal, yeah? What I mean by that is, if you've got this, ma 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 ma, that's the change in compression. Notice I'm not changing the pitches there. I'm just showing you what it feels like to lose compression. You can do it any part of your range. If I go ma 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 ma, you can work on compression just on one pitch, believe it or not. And that feeling, that attack, ma 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 ma, needs to remain consistent when you're doing a scale, adjusting the pitch, but not adjusting the compression. Yeah? So then I have, rather than ma 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 mum, ma 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 mum, rather than a loss, I go towards ma 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 ma. I get through my first bridge connected. Now conversely, if you've got the extra squeeze, ma 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 ma, and it feels heavy at the top, got to learn to back off some of that squeeze. So you could do like a wee 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 and try and keep it wee 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 try and keep even compression on a lighter sound, and then go back to ma, ma, ma. Basically, you can start with ma, 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 and work at keeping that through the scale once you add pitches to it, rather than ma, 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 or ma, 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 ma. That's what an extra squeeze will feel like as you go up higher in terms of on the horizontal. Ma, 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 ma. Yeah? Rather than ma, 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 even. Yeah? Ma, 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 ma. Ma, 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 even through the bridge. Notice, ma, 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 yeah? Okay, the only other thing that can happen, really, is the warping of that vowel. Ma, 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 yeah? And not allowing the larynx to tilt and remain in that nice free, balanced spot. So, if you feel this, ma, 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 and the sound's dropping out the mouth, keep the vowel consistent. Ma, 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 mum, 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 yeah? Mum, 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 mum. Not mum, 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 mum. No. Mum, 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 mum. Yeah? Those are really the only two things that are going to differentiate between if you've got a really good chance of connection and no chance of connection. Is the compression even? And the other question is that vowel warping or changing as you go up higher? Yeah? Those two things will differentiate a connected singer versus a non-connected singer. And this is really the key principle behind SLS, Singing Success, Brett Manning, all this stuff, is learning compression skills, learning even compression through the range. Once you've got even compression, you can adjust the compression, and you can compress harder or lighter or somewhere in the middle. Yeah? But the key skill actually is even compression through the range, rather than can you sing powerfully. Yeah? Ken Tamplin can sing with power, but he doesn't have even compression through the mid-range. If you notice, it always distorts in the middle. He finds it very difficult to keep it clean. Also, he finds it very difficult to back off that compression and sing on a lighter coordination, hence why he struggles with singing popular tunes. That's just one example. I'm calling him out because he's a very successful coach who's lacking skills in key areas of his voice. And I'll call myself out. I don't have the range of Ken Tamplin. I'm lacking those skills that I need to develop, so I'm open about that. You know, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that I have got the range of Ken Tamplin when I haven't. It's things that I need to work on as well. But in terms of connecting through the first bridge, in terms of understanding closure, how it works, consistent compression, all that stuff, I know what I'm talking about, and I know what I'm talking about better than most coaches out there. So that's why I'm throwing it out there for you guys. Yeah, please comment, rate, and subscribe if you like this video. I enjoyed making it. Please check out my Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 p.m. UK time. Please comment if you have some thoughts about this. Tell me what you think. Throw something out there for me, yeah? Take care, guys. Bye.